empowering, inspiring, and informing our viewers. The purpose of journalism is to provide citizens with the info they need to make the best decisions regarding their lives, their lifestyles, societies, and communities. Media has a lot to gain by employing females. Apart from ensuring a diversity of voices, women bring a certain creativity, like they say, je ne sais quoi, or a certain warmth into reporting. With us in studio today is Fatima Sookharia, mom of two, a teacher and a humanitarian journalist. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. And Maryam Makwanda, a mother of one, freelance journalist, mompreneur, and passionate about women empowerment. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm glad to have you, Maryam.
Shukran, it's a pleasure.
Okay, Fatima. There are a large number of females studying media and journalism, yet the ratio drops drastically once they have to come into the industry. Why is that so?
You know, there probably are a number of reasons, right? Mm-hmm. But I think if you have to pin it down, it's usually because journalism is characterized by hours, you know, and the hours that are needed to give to the profession. So it's a highly pressurized profession, and it's characterized by uneasy hours.
All right.
And so in most cases, women will look for what's convenient. And I think even though in studying it, it's one part of it, mm-hmm. but then when you're actually in the field, or when you have to go out there and report on the matters, even if it is writing, you know, you have to be there firsthand to be able to write on a particular matter. Mm-hmm. In that way, then the challenges come in.
Okay, I'm actually in shock because I would think a woman would jump at the challenge, but I mean, you in the field, so obviously you know more regarding the hours. I would think that they would. I mean, it's a challenge, and they would like to be in a cutthroat industry.
So the cutthroat industry is one thing, right? But then to actually manage your family, mm-hmm. and you know, to be in that high profile profession, mm-hmm. It actually comes with lots of challenges.
Exactly. Maryam, is there a huge difference in, okay, I don't know if I'm going to get into trouble by saying this, but is there a huge difference in salaries between males and females in the media industry? Is that perhaps why the ratio drops drastically?
Well, if you look at it, there is a huge difference in salaries in any field.
Across the board, yes.
And research was conducted, and it showed that 17%, women are paid 17% less than men in the journalism field. So there is a huge difference. Even though if it's 17%, it is a difference. But I think there's a logical explanation behind this. I mean, if you look at the Quran, mm-hmm. and the share of inheritance when it comes to women get a certain amount, and it's less than the men.
Right.
Why is this so? Well, simply because men are supposed to be the maintainers and caretakers of women. Okay. So if they get a higher percentage than women, mm-hmm. then it's their responsibility to look after their women. Mm-hmm. But then we have feminists, and we have equal rights activists, and women want equal pay because they are doing the same job as the men. So there's a bit of
it's a catch-21, I would say.
Yeah, you can say so. Yeah.
But a great answer. I like the reference to the Quran, and you know, I'm glad you mentioned it. So just for clarification, I'm glad. Thank you very much for that answer. Fatima, how do women, I mean, you in the field first, and humanitarian journalist, you in the field, how do women experience journalism compared to their male counterparts?
In most cases, when we're going to go out into the field, mm-hmm. right, we're going to bring a fresh perspective back.
Absolutely.
And when I say a fresh perspective, it's not that a man won't have, look, they're going to come in it with fact, mm-hmm. Whereas I will probably go into it with more emotion.
Emotion, yes.
And when we bring that in, then I think to relate to different stories, we need both. So maybe we need the men to do certain stories, but then it's equally important to have ladies who will relate to different women, in the field out there, because basically how they're going to tell you about their experiences is different, or they may just not even open up to somebody that's that's a male in the field also. So I've experienced this so many times firsthand. We're part of my Survivor campaign, which was focused on victims of, we don't call them victims, and that's the Survivor campaign, that they are survivors of gross atrocities. And then because of this, like how they've opened up to me and how they've related their stories, it will be different because they are just more comfortable.
Okay, that makes total sense. In your experience now as a humanitarian journalist, was your judgment ever clouded by your emotions?
It was. A lot of the time then you feel like, why are they doing this, or what happens to them? And the thing is, you can't break down in front of these people. So you need to be so strong in the field. Look, in the evening afterwards, it's a different story, of course. But while you are there and with those people, you have to take in everything they are saying. You have to internalize it, and then the message to them is not just that we're here to report on what you're doing, but it's, as a humanitarian journalist, I want to do the full circle where I come back and do something for those people.
Yes, and exactly giving us as citizens the correct information so we can make better decisions.
No, of course. And in me coming back and like telling that story, that's going to make the difference.
Yes, definitely. Maryam, there are women clustering in soft news recently, such as lifestyle. For the viewers out there, soft news is lifestyle and arts. Why is that so? Do they give that to the men as well, or is it a choice for a woman to go and do soft news?
It's a choice.
All right.
Anything you decide to do is your choice.
Absolutely.
And I think softer news like lifestyle and arts is simpler. It's not as cutthroat and not as challenging as the hardcore journalism, the investigative journalism. And these days, anyone who has a camera and can take pictures and can write can basically become a lifestyle journalist. There are lots of bloggers out there sharing with us their recipes, sharing with us places to visit. It's a simple field to get into compared to the hardcore journalist. That's not for everyone. If you have a niche for it, if you have a nose for news, as they taught us back at college, you need to have a nose for news. It's not for everyone. And you don't choose the field, it chooses you. Just like I did not choose to become a journalist, it chose me. And that's why I'm here today.
Okay. So are those bloggers and people with cameras writing and doing lifestyle, are they damaging the industry? Or is there a place for everyone?
There is a place for everyone, but they're partly contributing there because they write how they feel and how they view things, their perspective. And when we write, we have editors, we have sub-editors. We go through a process, whereas they don't really go through a process. And we are contributing a lot more than they are. And they basically don't have anyone to report to it. We have a job, and we have rules and regulations that we have to follow. And I can say that they are a little bit damaging our field because it's easier for them. They have a camera and they see something interesting, they're going to just take a picture and write about it.
Yes.
It's easier to do that. Anyone can basically do that as long as you can write.
And I would say that is damaging because then we are disadvantaged. We as citizens, then we don't know what is the truth and what is just opinion and their point of view.
And as a blogger, it is their point of view.
Yes.
And whereas for us, it's the facts. We have to report the facts because that's important.
Exactly. Well said. Fatima, why do we exclude, this is also a very controversial question, but why do we exclude older females from the world of journalism?
No, that also, right? If you look at it, I don't think that they are really excluded. I think maybe they are in the background. I think maybe they are not taking on the jobs that are like frontline.
Okay.
So say for example, when we have looking at a news report and then we want somebody to be out there, generally it will be a younger person who's going to be onto the story and out there into the field first.
All right.
And then maybe if you had your time there and you feel now you are a little more established, you tend to maybe have this editing background now, or this editing that you'd want to do, because you're going to give maybe the younger generation that chance after that.
Yes.
And I think, so there are many women that are in the field that have started off where most journalists start off and in the field reporting, and then as you grow and mature, maybe you want to do something that's behind the scenes.
Okay.
So that's one way of looking at it. But then there's another whole take on this, where if you look at somebody like me, I took 12 years, just took that time off to raise my family. So I see myself as an older person coming into it again. But when I see it that way, I'm also seeing that now that my children are grown, I have more time to be in there again.
Okay, so that was one of the topics we touched in the week also, about women getting back into studies and furthering their careers and all that, because you initially have to raise a family. And which is a great thing.
And then no education is ever wasted.
Yes,
So I
absolutely.
mean, okay, fine, you're saying you studied and you left your career there, but there is definitely going to be a time when you can pick up on it again.
Absolutely. Is journalism something like that, where you can just pick up and start again?
It's very tough.
Okay.
Look, so much happens in the years that it's things are happening every single day.
Absolutely.
So if you are going to take a break for years and then come back, it's pure determination
to get you through
get you through it.
And I think we all, as women, we survivors, and we're getting there,
Definitely.
irrespective of the age. We are doing great stuff. Maryam, so once you get married and have a baby, is there still space for you or a place for you in the industry, since it's considered a cutthroat environment?
It's very difficult to get into the industry to begin with. So once you are married or have a baby, it becomes even more challenging. I'll take me for example. When I fell pregnant, before that I was doing TV broadcasting for a lifestyle show. So before that, everything was fine. Okay, my husband allowed me to travel and he would drive me to the airport. But after that, once I was pregnant, then I could no longer continue, because one, I'm pregnant and I can't fly.
Yes.
And then number two, I have my pregnancy mask on, and basically I just
You're out there.
I'm out there.
Yes.
And now once I'm replaced, what do I do then?
Okay.
Because I can't go back unless they want me back.
Yes.
And I have extra responsibilities. I have to look after my baby now, because now it goes back to now, where am I going to leave her? Who's going to look after her? She's still young, daycare centers. There's lots of stories out there about women treating kids badly.
Yes.
So what am I going to do about it now? So it's difficult to get back into the industry once you become a mother and a wife. The responsibilities we have extra responsibilities.
Yes, far
and
greater.
yeah, it's far worse. It's far more difficult than
But
the men.
Compared to the other industries, females in the other industries, like if you were in an office job, obviously your pregnancy mask wouldn't matter to anybody, but you say in journalism it carries a lot of weight.
It does carry a lot of weight, especially if you are reporting in front of a camera,
Yes.
If you're in TV, you're the face. People want to see the same face that they see all the time, every
Yes.
weekend, every day. Now you're there and you look different. They're like, wait a minute, isn't she pregnant?
Yeah,
Everybody knows
we
that.
all vain in a certain way, right? Okay, that's a great answer. I didn't actually look at it that way, but it really makes a big difference. Fatima, Do people perceive stories differently? You touched on this before, but I just want to go into a bit more detail. Do people perceive stories differently when told by a female journalist compared to a male journalist?
Let's talk about it maybe as an example.
Okay.
Right? If there's a newsroom that's full of males,
Right.
and then the stories that come out will be only a male perspective.
Yes.
Now, if that happens, it will obviously be a very skewed version of reality, right?
Okay.
Because it's not going to give you a holistic viewpoint.
Absolutely.
It's not going to give you any fresh idea. It's not going to give you what the women bring to the table.
Yes.
And so if you have only that part and you look at it only from that part, then it will definitely not be what reality is.
Exactly.
But in saying that, we are created equal but different.
Yes.
So we have our different parts to bring to any story.
Okay.
And it's only if we have both sides that we're actually going to have people who can make an informed decision about reality.
Definitely. That is such a pertinent point. I'm glad you brought it up. Jazakallah for that. So, you two are colleagues at a media house. What, let's start with Maryam. What is your greatest challenge? What do you feel is your greatest challenge since you've been there?
Well, so far since being there, alhamdulillah, it's been going great. But my greatest challenge is having people to interview. You know, people like to keep to themselves and don't want to share their stories that much. So you have to go out there and pull the story out of them, which is one challenge. But a challenge in media itself for women, you know, we're living in an environment where we have gender abuse against females, sexual harassment. That's one of the biggest challenges, especially if they're working in a male-dominated environment.
Okay.
There has been a lot of complaints to the SA Human Rights Commission about sexual harassment in the workplace. Also, a big challenge is protection. You know, we have strikes taking place all the time, wars, if we have to report in war zone countries, for example. There, in journalism, there's no one there to protect you. When you go out there, it's you making the decision to go out there for yourself to tell a story to the people back home. So whatever happens, happens. It's like you sign an indemnity form to say that, okay, I'm giving myself to you, and I'm putting myself out there, so I'm going to take the responsibility for whatever's going to happen on the field. And also, the same goes for the men. So it's just a journalism thing, basically.
Such a big risk. That is actually, I think that's a very important point. I mean, so as journalists in a media house, what are you all doing to counteract this? I mean, we are grateful for all the services you all provide. So how are you all going to counteract and make the people aware that you're putting yourself at risk? Because I doubt people really know that much.
People don't really know that much, but when they watch the news, they can see for themselves. There's a lot of strikes, people throwing stones, rocks, left, right, and center, police shooting rubber bullets or real bullets left, right, and then people don't really know, like, what about the journalist, the person who's telling the story? They only expect you to bring the story to them. Exactly. They don't care about what's happening to you out there.
Oh wow, I think that's a great eye-opener, and I really take my hats off to you all in the media house. May Allah keep you all safe and always be able to bring us the truth. Fatima, your greatest challenge?
Look, when Maryam's talking about safety is a big concern, not just like, okay, as women, but in South Africa. You know, we have that safety concern. So when we're talking about safety, then people, when they're looking at a story, they're just seeing the story.
Yes.
But what's happening behind, and we putting ourselves out there, like what she's saying, that is a big challenge.
Okay.
Another thing in general is that like men won't even need to consider this, is that there's a family responsibility that goes with every journalist. And so if you're going to see yourself as a journalist that is out there and needs to do this job, we're not necessarily looking for a shorter day most of the time, but we're looking for flexibility in that.
Okay. So that is one of the greatest challenges
Yes.
for a female in the industry.
Is that if you can find that flexibility, then we're all out there.
Okay, I thought there was a solution to that initial thing that women won't take up a challenge. So it's more about flexibility. Wow, that's awesome. Maryam, final words for somebody that wants to go into the field.
I say Bismillah. Go into the field. We need more journalists, especially female journalists, and not those who take pictures of food and post them online and share with us recipes. I'm sure we all can do that.
Yes.
But we need more female journalists to go out there and tell stories. I mean, our communities have a lot of stories to tell, so someone needs to go inside there and bring the story out. You know, investigative journalists, the Deborah Patters are hardly there anymore.
Yes.
So we need them.
Sad.
Yeah, we need the Deborah Patters to go out there and bring us stories. So, Bismillah, young ladies, we need you in the field. I mean, we can't be the only ones doing it.
MashaAllah. Fatima, your final words.
It's also a field that is immensely gratifying. So if you are in this and you have this passion for it, you have to go with it. Because the thing is, if there's advice I can give anybody out there, write about something you care about. And if you care about that passion shows, because passion is something you cannot fake.
Yes, definitely, 100%.
So if you're writing about something that you're passionate about, you're going to inspire people. But then if you are inspired yourself, that is how you inspire others.
Definitely, well said. Thank you so much for giving us a better perspective. I think we are so much more informed than the beginning of the show. Thank you once again for being on our show.
Thank you so much for having us.
It was only a pleasure. Well, that's it then. I think we are 100% more informed and ready to make better decisions with our lives, lifestyles, career choices, and going down the path of journalism. I close off today's segment with one of my favorite quotes. Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing about. Catch us next week for another great episode. Assalamu alaikum.